All right, Big Man, welcome to the Mid Show, presented by Miller Lite. Here we go. This is the second Bears recap we're doing. We have lost again. We have fallen to 0-2. And our pets' heads are falling off.
Yeah.
Our pets' heads are falling off, to say the least. This is... I don't think I've seen as quick a fuse in Bears fans in a long time.
I don't know if this is the worst team they've ever had, but this is like the worst season so far, if that makes sense. Like they're not like last year's team was worse, but this is just so disappointing and deflating because you felt like you had some sort of a foundation and now it's just completely off the rails within 2 weeks. And it's like that you could say like I was too optimistic or whatever. This scenario to me where Fields looks like he's never played quarterback before instead of being in year 3. And like we're back to square one. That to me felt impossible. Like I thought they might have like. There's always a chance that you could start 0-2. I didn't think you could start 0-2 with it being like, all right, well, might as well tank. Like I didn't think that. I didn't think that was possible.
I thought the possibilities of this exact scenario playing out were about the same as the possibilities of them winning the Super Bowl. I did not expect it to be this bad. This is brutal.
Yeah, it's bad. Now I've been obviously I'm mad, I'm upset, and yesterday I was just kind of defeated. If you saw my post game video, but I've kind of tried to take a step back and like try to think as rational as possible because it is only 2 games in. It's the most overreactional league in the world.
Yeah,
and I'm so sick of hearing that though. It's not 2 games. That was Justin Fields' 28th start.
Yeah. Listen. I'm not sitting here and I'm not trying.
No, I'm not like yelling at you, but it's like.
Yeah,
round and round we go.
Listen, I'm not trying to paint a pretty picture at all. I'm not. But I'm trying to think if this feeling of, like, people are calling Eberflus Trustman. I don't know if that's fair. I'll be honest.
I don't think that is.
I don't think that's fair at all.
He deserves some heat.
Now, listen, it's a fucking long season. If we get to week 8 and it's more of the same shit, then you're about the same timeline as Trustman, and maybe it's fair. But to say 2 games in, granted, there's been no head coach that has started worse than him.
Yeah.
It's never happened.
Yeah.
It's never happened.
Sort of by design, though.
Totally. They cleared out the cupboard last year. We traded Rowe. We traded Khalil Mack. We traded all our good players, basically. Yep. They cleared out the cupboard. There was no wide receiver. We cleared it completely out. But I don't... Are you guys... feeling what I'm saying at all when it comes to that? Or, I mean, you're not, Dave, clearly.
Well, I'm having a hard time. Like, where are you, I guess? I'm still not understanding what you're trying to say, I mean,
I'm saying, listen, I'm bummed out. I'm very upset. But statements like that, like people overreacting like that is putting me in a position where I'm starting to question. Like, it's almost made me reverse course. And I know people are going to fucking crush me for that.
Yeah.
But whatever. I'm not afraid of putting my opinion out there. Like, that's just, if you don't go with the quarry, then you're wrong. Whatever. And I'm not saying things are great. Things are bad. But I'm just trying to get to the bottom of how bad are they. I
scoured the internet looking for hope this morning, just different YouTube, Fields breakdowns, things like that. I mean, it does feel a little bit like Mitch. Where it's like all the screenshots and this guy's running
100%.
And it's I think it hurts more because it's more unexpected. But yeah, like, look, we felt you were out last year after the Washington game on field. Like, you were starting to look at who the quarterbacks are.
100%. Right. I was looking at Bryce Young. Like, yep. I was definitely starting to get there.
Yep. And then they kind of adapted the offense and turned it around. Mm-hmm. And they had multiple games where they're scoring 30 points. Like, it was not your traditional style of offense, but they were moving the ball and getting chunk plays and scoring points, and it led to a feeling of hope for me this year that we saw enough, and it's like build on that. But it's like they didn't build on that. It was like that was a foundation on sand, and then they're just right back to where they were at the beginning of last year, where everybody just looks completely lost. And it's like you made all the improvements, and I understand wanting to make him a pocket quarterback. Maybe he's just not. And
yeah, it's very clear he's not.
Yeah. And it's like, how many games are you willing to lose while he's trying to learn how to play a pocket style quarterback versus like, look, we just got to start winning games. And like, we've committed to this guy. We've brought in assets around him. We have to put him in a position to succeed. And it might not be the way that we wanted it. It's not ideal, but like, hey, we have to change some things. And it's got to be back to like, if they don't come out with a plan that looks like what they did against the Patriots last year, where that was the first time where they're like, all right, well, we're just going to let him be an athlete and let him be himself. If they don't do that against Kansas City, then it is starting to be like you're almost doing it on purpose.
Yeah, and listen, to be clear, the frustration is exactly, I think you nailed it there. It's because it feels like we've regressed.
Yeah.
It's not that we're losing. It just feels like we're back to weeks 1 through 6.
Yep.
We're back to before that Commanders game. And that obviously is not acceptable.
Right.
And that's why everyone's upset, everyone's pissed, and everyone's borderline. Like, it's tough to be in a spot. Being an apathetic fan is the worst spot we could be.
Yeah.
We talked about that. It's bordering that because...
Yeah, I don't feel that. I almost feel like it's starting to resemble what the Cubs were at the end of like 08. You know, where it was like enough of this like lovable loser, like we hope. It was like people went from like that mindset to be like enough of this shit, and people got pissed off, and the Ricketts came in and were like, go get Theo, spend the money, do it the right way. And it was because people were tired of being like the lovable loser. Oh, we'll get him next year. I feel like that's where I am like more angry, because I feel like I got swindled by this whole project. And so I am not apathetic. And when you look around, you know, like that game was there. That game was, in spite of everything, that game was there to be won. It's not like they're playing the Cowboys or the Dolphins or some of these teams that have looked awesome. Tampa Bay didn't look that great to me. You had to play an opportunity at the beginning of the game. Brisker for the, drop the interception, would have been on the positive side of the field. Their first scripted drive right down the field and scored. Like, and then they have, the missed sacks. They force a fumble they can't fall on. They're like, when good teams take advantage of opportunities when they get them, and the Bears just seem like they don't. Like, they can't fall on that fumble. They don't ever win the battle at the bottom of the pile. Ball hits a defensive back in the chest. Like, those types of things. Those were like the old Lovey days. So this team's never had a quarterback. The defense and special teams, like, they were still a good, well-coached football team that made plays when they had the opportunity. There's no playmakers on this team. There's no playmakers. There's nobody that you have to be like, watch out for this guy. And they had that guy with Justin Fields last year because he's such a dynamic runner. 4 attempts for 3 yards. You're not going to win any games playing this way. So that's the point where I say it gets back to, well, is it like Trestman? Where it's like you cut off your nose to spite your face. We want a pocket quarterback. You don't have one. So you better fucking change it up, or you should be out on your ass after 2 years, because that is ultimately on you.
Yeah, but for you to say that there's no bit of feeling... maybe apathy is the wrong word, of like, here we go again. I think
totally
we're tired of bottoming out.
Yes.
Like, that's terrible that we are literally sitting here and we are closer to looking at a new general manager and a coach and tanking to where we were, and we just did it a year ago.
I know.
That's terrible.
I agree.
That's terrible. And at some point, you just get tired of finding love, looking for love.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Stop looking.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And that's where, how many times can you go through this in a row? Like, we're talking a decade now.
Yeah.
We're talking a decade.
More than that.
Well, at least since the end of Lovey.
Yeah.
I don't consider that. We're talking a decade of like hope, bottom out, and I don't know, whatever you want to say. John Fox was a stopgap. Sure, I'm there with you. But you get the point.
Yeah.
10 years of hope and bottoming out. I don't know.
Why
man.
even hire a stopgap? Like, what the fuck is that? This is the NFL where rosters turn over and teams go up and down. Like, that is the nature of the NFL, where they I can't remember the stat exactly right now, but it'll be directionally correct, where it's like there's more playoff team turnover in the NFL year to year than any other sport. You can do it. If you're competent and you have a good culture and you draft well, you sign the right free agents, you can turn things around in a hurry. The Bears, they seem like they do a few things and then all of a sudden they get to a level and then it's crashed. There's never been sustained success except for Lovey, and even during the Lovey years, it wasn't like they were in the playoffs winning the division every year. They had a few peaks in the Lovey years, and then it was like, should they fire him? Then they'd have another peak, and then they finally fired him after a 10-win year that they didn't make the playoffs. Yeah. But they were always like competitive, and they always seemed like they did things the right way, and
they were sensational on one side of the ball.
Yeah, and you had
Hall
those
of
playmakers.
Yeah.
Multiple.
Right, and it was like now they just don't, and there's nobody. Everybody's hyping up Brisker. Well, fucking make a play. And I know he was sick or whatever. He left and came back. Like, good for him. But, like, you got to come up with that ball. If you want to be like this guy, that one of the leaders of the defense, you got to come up with that ball. And they just don't have any dudes. And it's, and the one, I mean, even like DJ Moore, he looks like a very good player, but it's like, what's the point of even having him? Because you can't get anything, they throw it to him 4 times, so double his, from last year. And there were so many times where the replays would pan to him at the end of routes, and he's just like palms up, like, why the fuck isn't that ball on me? And he's sacked. Like, that happened at least 3 times in the game yesterday, just from memory. I'm sure it happened more, but it was just, I don't know. It's like, enough of this. It's like the same old shit. And if they don't make a change to the game plan, then they might as well not even have Fields as the quarterback.
Yeah, it's very true.
If you want to have a pocket quarterback, put Nathan Peterman or Badgett out there, because they're more pocket quarterbacks than Fields is at this point.
I just don't understand what happened with Getsy from the end of last year to now. It's does he have like a program that this is how you're going to start a season? Are his seasons scripted?
Do you remember last year?
I really think it's ride or die with Fields, and they're trying to pigeonhole him to being something he's not. And like you said, it's almost as I think it very much is intentional what they're trying to do. And it's like, all right, well, now it's clear we don't have the quarterback we thought we did.
Well, you were pro this. You wanted this. To see him in the pocket more,
you have to.
Why?
Well, at this point, no.
I don't know if you do anymore.
No, at this point you don't. You flip it, but I see why they were doing it. I see the why. It didn't work. It's not working. Yeah. So now you got to flip that switch again, like they did in New England last year when they, beat the shit out of the Patriots, and then went on and put up 30 points for a 5, 6, 7 week stretch or whatever it was. Yeah. But
what makes me concerned is, as well, you go back to Mitch with the screenshots and everything. This is how I felt about him, too. I still remember vividly talking on one of these post-game shows about being like, he's not the guy. You got to roll him out. You got to use, because he was good on his feet, too.
Mm-hmm.
You got to use him with his legs. And now, I mean, Fields is different than that. Fields is special with his legs. Like, we've seen that. He broke records with his legs.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's something where it's a little different. And there's still not a comparison. Fields throws a way better ball than Mitch ever did.
Totally.
Ever did.
Totally.
Fields is better than Mitch. We just want to say that, too.
I think Fields
people are getting it twisted on
but
that,
that's
too.
Like the thing with Fields. It's so frustrating.
But
because, and I said
results are results.
I said this in a blog. Like, if you could design a quarterback in a lab, it would come out looking like Justin Fields. 6'3", 225, 230, 4.25, whatever the fuck he runs a 40 in. Huge arm, throws a great deep ball, but it's like he just can't see it out there. And what?
I also don't understand, and we're going to be critical of everything. I just kind of wanted to see how you guys felt off the top about pulling the reins back a little bit, because I do feel like we're on the boat and we see the iceberg, right?
Yeah.
And we're going directly into it. Like we probably don't have the right ship to pull away and swerve it, but I don't know. There is an opportunity for it to happen. It is still, we do have time to make it happen.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm saying. It is only 2 games in.
It is.
And it's, next week is probably not going to be pretty, even though they've started pretty slow as well. But I don't know. It's just the comparisons of Trestman and everything. I don't think people fully remember how bad that Trestman shit was. And not saying this is good. I'm upset. I'm disappointed. And it's unfortunate.
I mean, do you remember last year we were talking about, man, fuck, we finally found an offensive coordinator. Hope he doesn't get fucking poached by somebody in the offseason, go be a head coach based on these 7 games. He adjusted midway through the year, and we're like, this guy might be a fucking genius.
But that's what's really struggling. I'm really struggling with that, where it's I know he has that in him. What is it that's making him be so dog shit 8 quarters through the season? Is it
it's a choice. I'm telling you, it's a choice. They want to see if
Like it's an evaluation thing?
Yes, exactly. There's no other reason. There's no other.
I don't know. It's not the worst conspiracy theory.
When was Kevin Warren hired? He didn't hire these guys, did he?
No,
last year.
He was hired last year.
Yeah.
Polls didn't draft Justin Fields either.
I know.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
they are.
Polls also had a comment preseason. It was like right before it was the week. It was Packers week. I don't remember exactly how close to the game, but some reporter asked him a question about contract extension, and Polls was like, we're nowhere near that point yet. Yeah. And I thought that was it. Like made my ears perk up. Because it was like, oh, like you've spent kind of the off season and last year being like, yeah, like and you drafted a right tackle, you traded for a number 1 wide receiver, you traded for a wide receiver, a high pick for Claypool last year, trying to get support for Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. So you go through like all of your actions indicate that you think that he's the guy. And someone asks you about his future and you say, hey, we're nowhere near that point. That to me, it was like, that's a fucking weird comment going into week 1, or for it's if it wasn't like he could have said like, yeah, something on our radar, but whatever, but he like dismissed it. Yeah. So that was like, okay.
Is that your conspiracy theory, Dave? Like you think that there's something here where they're trying to just put this offense this way
I
to evaluate
There's
him?
no other explanation to me.
It's so baffling that it's not crazy.
At the same time, though, this is their handpicked quarterback choice.
It's not.
It is, because they had the first overall pick, and they could have drafted C.J. Stroud, who went for 380 and 4 touchdowns yesterday or whatever. Or they could have taken Bryce Young, who plays tonight. I don't really know what he did his first week, but they rolled with...
Yeah, no, you're right.
They fucking rolled with Justin Fields
tonight.
But maybe
I don't want to hear that anymore. It is their handpicked guy.
All right, that's fair. But maybe they evaluated that class.
Yeah, which also
and
fair.
We're like...
And I kind of was the same way.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm... not some quarterback, quarterback guru, but
going back to that's a good point though, Dave.
Yeah,
it is. You bring up a really good point. Going back to 1, what are you laughing at?
Sometimes I feel like Dave, when you say like Dave, that was a really good point.
I think I'm trying to get on his good side.
No, it's not a backhand. I think he's genuine with it, but I think you get surprised when he says it.
I wasn't surprised at there. I know it was. This is their handpicked quarterback.
It's a great point.
Yes.
I think you were surprised to hear Eddie say to give you credit for that point.
I didn't even react to it.
I just thought I saw looking at
you. I'm pissed off right now. Like
I
you were
like
saying,
conspiracies and I like different angles of thought.
I don't think I am like guilty of driving conspiracy theories. I'm watching the game, and I watched every game last year, and to me, it's as clear as broad daylight that is what they're trying to do.
Let me ask you guys a question then.
But I think that they know the heat's on, so they're going to flip that switch again. We will see if that is it.
And that's what I was going to ask. Do you think, for job security purposes,
yes,
roll it?
Oh yeah.
You don't even know what I'm going to say.
I think I do.
Well, go ahead.
Are they going to flip that switch like
it's
they
not
did?
what I was going to say. Do you think it's better for job security to be like to roll him out and play this way and be like, well, we didn't fucking pick him. We did the best we could, but he's not our guy. Let us go get another guy, and that buys you 2-3 more years? Or do you think it's better like, hey, like we can't afford to continue on this path? I don't know. I mean, don't know what the answer is to that.
Like, I don't know either. I would say probably.
That's why I asked when Kevin Warren came in, because I was having a blank on that.
But these are all Bill Polian's guys via George McCaskey. Like it's always going to funnel up to ownership for me, because ultimately that's where the buck stops in any pro sport.
And that's where the apathy kicks in for me. It's like it just seems like that guy's doomed. Like it seems like that January, they used to happen like right after the new year, but now there's a week that like everything's pushed back. Seems like that January 10th-ish press conference of seeing that fucking guy in a Zoom call and talking about how much the Chicago Bears mean to him and his mom, and how
his
much
mom's very disappointed.
Unacceptable.
I'm sure she's
exactly.
right now.
It just seems like that is
Groundhog's
on
Day.
a loop. It is. It is. And that's where it's like, how many times am I going to watch this mustached man give me that same speech?
Yeah.
How many times am I going to see it before I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I could do this anymore. And I'll always do it.
I mean, I
don't want to get like too like, I don't know, this is out of left field a little bit, but it even feels like they're fucking up the stadium thing. Like bought Arlington, for big money, And then it's like all of a sudden, well, maybe it's Naperville, maybe it's Aurora. Now maybe it's Soldier Field again. I don't know if you saw that a couple weeks ago or 10 days ago. Now they're talking about how great Brandon Johnson the mayor is to work with, and all these different. So it was like, well, you already bought the art, and it's like every single thing. They can't just be like direct and competent and just like, and they might be having a great strategy for the stadium. I don't know, but I saw that. I'm like, wait, we're back to Soldier? Like, is that's on the table? You already ripped down the racetrack. Like, you're building there. Like, what are we doing? It's just like every fucking thing they do feels wrong. Like, whatever their instincts are, it feels wrong.
And until you were talking about it, that's kind of the theme of the show, apathy. Like, I reached that after the Trestman years. I'm like, You have always said that. Like, that, growing up, Bears, if they lost it, ruined my fucking week. Now I just don't let it get to that point for me emotionally anymore, because I know, because of who's pulling the strings, George McCaskey and his cronies, that like the White Sox, nothing will change until he is no longer pulling.
I wonder how many strings that he pulls, though. Like, do you think it's like
listen, to his credit, Ted Phillips is gone. Kevin Warren is in.
Yeah.
So maybe this time will be different. And I hate that we're already fucking assuming this. This is the worst fucking spot we're in. I don't know. I'm getting mad again.
I know. Good. I want you to be mad.
Because I was fucking genuinely pissed last week.
Yeah.
And watching this, I'm just like, oh my God, we're doing this again.
Yeah.
Back to one. He looks like he's in sludge. That's the best way to say it. He looks like he's got fucking
his
restriction bands on him.
His 3-step drops take fucking forever.
Yeah.
It's just everything's kind of casual and like, get on your back foot and fucking sling it.
I don't understand it.
I don't know if this is gonna, like, I can visually see how much he's thinking. It just looks like he's so flustered, and he knows, like,
Dave,
it's this.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It makes sense. I know. You can see it. And I'm like, I know you have to think and be cerebral quarterback. He's thinking too much. Go out there and just grip and rip, man. Yeah. Fucking stop thinking. Have
and
fun.
That's when he was at his best.
Yeah, grip and rip. That's
when he was at his best.
Grip and fucking rip.
And like I watched Orlovsky's video. I watched more videos, and I watched how the offense or the play calling, the routes and everything did not put him in the best position. I did feel like the protection was better.
It was better, but Wright was bad yesterday.
Who?
Right.
I don't know.
He got beat a bunch. He had a couple penalties, at least one penalty.
Yeah, it did feel like, is Cheah here?
Yeah, he's out there.
He's somewhere. He's right there. Cheah!
We'll see what he says.
Oh, from his side.
Just from a different perspective. Is that okay, Lance? We could put him on there. Mm-hmm. You got anything, Lance, while we wait for him?
No, I just agree. Justin Fields has to run, and my conspiracy theory is that, like, the McCaskies just want to see quarterback be played a way that's just super old school, and they demand it, and they're putting it on nope, Justin Fields running, no more of that shit, and then all of a sudden he's not doing it anymore.
Why
but
the
conspiracy
fuck would anybody care how you move the ball down the field?
Yeah, that's a crazy
they're psychos.
Conspiracy.
I don't know,
but that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
All right, Cheah, what do you got for us?
The Bears had no rhythm yesterday. Their first drive, they had the nice long completion of DJ Moore, nice play, but outside of that, they're not doing too much all game. Big Cat pointed out, did you guys see this? That Justin Fields is really slow in his drop back compared to other quarterbacks.
Just talked about it.
You just talked about it? So
Kinda.
This is a video that's been viral in the Bears community.
But doesn't he just kind of look like he's in sludge at all moments?
Yeah, which is weird because he's the most athletic quarterback
of all time.
In the league. He's not... if I had to break down just kind of what I saw yesterday, it looks like he's not playing with a sense of urgency. But if you look around, I didn't see too many open guys that he missed.
Oh, there was plenty.
There are certainly there's the one there's a guy
really
going
the
up the
issue.
seam. What's up?
Yeah, but that wasn't really the issue. The issue was he wasn't finding the open guys.
Yeah,
he wasn't seeing them.
Course.
Yes, he's holding onto the ball too long.
Yes.
The issue is that he's just not seeing it and throwing with anticipation. He's waiting for it to break open. That's what you do in college. We just had our catch last week or our little scrimmage, and you can either wait to see someone open to throw the ball, or you can throw with anticipation and get it there for when they are open. And I feel like he's not trusting his eyes enough because, in college he was a solid like passer. Like he could throw the ball down the field, and his deep ball's fine, but he just has to trust his eyes and process what he's seeing quicker to get the ball up, because he's just holding on to the ball way too long.
Yeah.
Like way too long. We had 6 sacks yesterday.
Yeah.
That's way too many sacks, but even on a weekly basis.
Especially if you're Justin Fields.
And granted, you guys played, in my opinion, 2 top 10 defenses the first 2 weeks. The Packers and the Bucs are 2 very good defenses. I don't think there's much arguing that.
And we're going to see a big drop off here with Kansas City.
Who do you guys have next week?
Kansas City.
Okay, I mean, Chris Jones is back. They just held Jacksonville to what, 9 points?
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
That's true.
Yeah.
So
I just always have it seared in my brain that they're always like a shootout team.
right. So let's see what happens, but I think they need to simplify the offense. I don't think Justin Fields is a guy right now, and I get it. He's in year 3. I don't think he's a drop back guy, read 1, read 2, read 3, sometimes read 4. Like I think you just got to simplify it. 1, 2, not open, go. And like he's got to have that clock in him where he's like, all right, if it hits, the last step of my drop and I'm not seeing anyone, I got to move.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have that right now. And I don't know how coaches have not kind of instilled that. Like we saw that on Hard Knocks with Aaron Rodgers when he's telling Zach Wilson, he's like, all right, if you get to your 3rd read, at the end of your drop and you're not seeing anyone, you better move because you're about to get sacked.
Well, that's like the thing. Like he has less pocket mobility than like Tom Brady. Tom Brady in the pocket, he moves around, he steps up, he finds space, and then bang, someone comes open late. And Fields just doesn't really have that. It's just like he's in glue, and then he, if it's not there, it's a sack, or it is there. And there was that one play to Komet. They actually picked up the first down, but you can like see it, and he goes like 1, 2, 3, not open, but like 2 was open. And then so 1, 2, 3 back to 1, and then finally came all the way back to Komet, who was not like, if you throw it to that second read, which was open right away, it's probably a touchdown. Like you picked up the first down, so no one really notices, and it's like, all right, whatever, move the ball down the field. But it's like, even on successful plays, he's leaving yards and points and everything on the board. It's just like you just have to fucking see it and sling it and go, and it's just like he can't.
I don't think the Bears' run game has really helped them. You know what I mean? There's a lot of 3rd and longs yesterday where it's like, all right, you're putting it all on this guy to make the play. And I am a big Justin Fields believer. I chimed into the spaces last year after whatever that Thursday night game was, and I was like, dude, Justin Fields is good. You guys are reading him. You just have to make it simple. You have to coach to his strengths. You can't just be like, okay, let's drop back and throw it, 35 times, 40 times, and, see what he can do. Like, you have to give him a little bit more limited play sheet, but rely on his physical talents. And, some designed runs would be nice.
And
he is a
what's
very
wrong
good
with that? Like,
nothing
what's
is wrong
with
that.
That's
but
in my
opinion, that's how you win the modern NFL.
They coach they call plays as if there is something wrong with that. Just let him go out and be a dude.
Right. I mean, the Bears' offense opened up a ton more last year when there were more designed runs, and they're letting him like not change his stripes. Like, let's let Justin Fields be Justin Fields, who was the number 2 pick in the draft, a really, really good player. Don't try and fit him into this box. I'm still a very firm. I'm buying all the Justin Fields stock right now. I just think the Bears' offense needs to
buying low.
Yeah. But I think the Bears' offense and the play calling needs to adapt a little bit to their personnel.
Yeah. And because even, I don't know if you saw the quote, Levante David, he's like, I knew what play it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I knew, like, that was like the 3rd time they ran it. He's like, I saw it.
I mean, you saw it on the screencast that got picked off at the end. Like,
you could see
Shaq Barrett knew what the play was.
Yeah.
And the press conferences after, the coaches knew what was coming because they moved Shaq Barrett inside, and they were like, hey, crash inside and then take a step off because they're going to look for a screen, and that's exactly what happened. And, to your guys' credit, you have a chance to win the game with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left.
Yeah.
Like, you got to go 90 yards to win the game, but, you can get in a field goal range and tie it, and anything can happen in overtime. So it's not like you guys got your doors blown off. Like, this was a close game till the end.
We said that before you walked in. But the Bears left so many plays on the field. Like,
so did the Bucs. The red zone defense was pretty good yesterday for you guys.
Yeah.
And we were
3rd 14.
We were fortunate. Like Baker missed one. Good amount of spots in my eyes.
Baker played pretty good yesterday.
He did play pretty well.
Well, he played pretty well.
He missed the one touchdown,
but he missed the one to Godwin.
Yeah.
And there were other moments where we definitely were bailed up.
Yeah. But it's like,
12 of 13 on 3rd down.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can't ask
Yeah.
for more than that.
But it's like you finally get to the quarterback, you force a fumble, and then you don't get it. And he throws one into Brisker's chest on the first drive.
Yes.
You know, like you have to make those plays. And it's, you know, especially, I don't know, it's just
bailed out by the push off too.
That
Mike
sure.
Evans
Oh,
push-off
yeah.
was
Push-off
fucking
on it.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's 7 right there. That was his
Yep.
fucking 60-yard punt.
yeah. So I mean, like that, they were better, but it's just like it was so hard to watch. Like it's just like, and they make, you know, and I watched, you know, Bryce Young's first game, and I watched some of that, you know, Anthony Richardson. Richardson looked fine, you know, before he got the concussion yesterday. He looked pretty okay in week 1 too, and it's just like how come every other young quarterback is able to,
let's not get ahead of ourselves. Like
What?
the second half of last season, everybody was, you know, slurping Justin Fields because he's, you know, the next
Totally.
big thing. He's a top
But I'm
7
saying-
fantasy quarterback this year. Like people are buying Justin
particularly
Fields.
as a passer though. Like all the Fields hype is built like, can he build on himself as a, you know, can he add some passing to that running attack? Well, now they've just taken away both. I will say that other quarterbacks dropping back, throwing the ball, they do make it look easier than Fields does as in the pocket.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And it's the things we talked about. He's got to get into his drop quicker. He's got to shorten his reads. And then if he doesn't see him, he's got to take off. I think if he does that, he's going to be fine. You know, I'd love if they build in more design runs. He should be a 10 to 14 carry a game guy.
He had 4 carries for 3 yards yesterday.
Right. Like, you got to take advantage. What are we doing if we have Justin Fields and we're running the ball 4 times for 3 yards? Like, that's Kirk Cousins numbers. Like, let Justin Fields be Justin Fields.
Yeah. I also feel like that just would get him into the game a little bit more. Like I don't like let him have some confidence, let him run the ball, let him like start feeling good about himself, and maybe he's not just in glue back there. Like he just like sling it, you know. And it's just like you get hyped when you start feeling good when you have some success. He has no success, like, and it's because they don't allow him to.
Yes,
So
yeah. I mean, I was very confident in the game yesterday because if the Bucs do one thing well, it's stop the run.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys were not gonna be able to run the football with good efficiency, it was gonna be like Justin Fields has to put on a Superman cape and win the game, which he had a chance to do towards the end. Obviously, it didn't work out, but I am fully buying the Justin Fields stock right now.
I think
I'm
that's
not worried about
insane.
him long term.
well,
You guys
Steven,
are 0-2. You could easily be 1-1 if one more drive goes your way.
They're not. They're 0-2.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like
but-
I don't put 100%
And they look
on
horribly.
Justin Fields.
No, it's a very shared effort in the 0-2 start, but it's
I appreciate the perspective because
Yeah.
it's outsider perspective who
Definitely.
is you know.
And also, let's
Like-
pump the brakes. Like you guys, I think I predicted the Bears to go like 8-9 or 7-10 or something like that, and you guys were like, "What the hell?"
I
Like,
didn't say that.
I
you guys
was-
had the #1 pick last year. Like you earned that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
you're
to
right.
your point, where you just said like there's one more drive goes your way. That was all last season. They had 7-8 games that they lost that were with in a score or less, and they had games where they put up 30 plus points. I think 7 times. Like it was like, all right, well if you take that team against a last place schedule, you improve the line, you got a #1 wide receiver, you spent money on linebackers. It's year 2 for Brisker and Gordon and all the it's year 2 of everybody in this system. You would think that would lead to some improvement. Through 2 games, it feels like a regression. Like they're going in the wrong direction. And if it was like if they were just neutral, if they looked how they looked, you know, at times last year, and were 0-2, I don't think people would be as like the Chicken Little, like the sky's falling. Like it's just because they've looked worse than what we saw last year, and it's like, well, then the project is off the rails. And if the project's off the rails, we're right back where we're talking about new GMs and shit. And it's like, how the fuck did we get here so fast?
Let's ask the question that maybe you guys have talked about, but maybe this is too early for it. So the Bears traded back with the Panthers to get their first round pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Darnell.
Panthers are playing the Saints tonight. They're projected to lose. If the Bears, finish terribly, and the Panthers finish terribly, and they get ammo for one of these top guys, whether it be one of those 2 picks or trade up with those 2 picks.
Oh
you guys,
yeah,
you guys trying to go get like a Caleb
yes.
Williams?
I'm not
Yes.
done with Fields yet.
Yeah.
Or Eberflus for that matter. Like
Right.
I'm still like things are not great, but I'm not.
But
I'm
if
not
it's
there
like
yet.
this the rest of the year, then yeah.
Yeah, listen.
Like,
I think what do you think is a fair sample size in the NFL? 8 games, half a year.
year to year.
For a young quarterback, for a coach, what are we talking about?
Well,
I think
I
there's
mean,
big differences.
To decide like what a team is.
What a team is.
Yeah.
As far as like the 2023 Bears,
Yeah.
I think 8 games is a very fair. Like
I think
I would
so,
say
too.
6.
So what do they have to be?
After this week, we're looking at Denver,
Yeah.
Washington, and Minnesota.
Yeah.
The
Very
whole division
That could
lost
be an
yesterday.
06 start, man.
Yeah,
Those are 3 winnable games.
Those are-
but
yeah.
they're very
Yeah, of
winnable too.
course.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I mean. So if they through 8 games, let's say best case scenario they're 3-5. Like,
yeah.
that's what So it's like then if you're 3-5,
You're not out of it.
you're not out of it, but it's got to look a lot different than this. Like it is one of those things where it is feel like, and we had that feeling last year. I'm stunned at how bad he is in the pocket. I really am. I thought that there would be some progression with him as a pocket passer, and you have the better weapons. I thought there would be. I thought I would have more hope than I do right now through 2 games.
He made some good throws yesterday.
He does that every week.
I think when he is largely accurate. When the ball leaves his hand, it gets where he wants it to go. It just never comes out on time, and he routinely misses guys that are, and when I say miss, I mean like he doesn't see them that are wide open.
Right.
And that's worse to me. Like, you have to be able to like at least see it. If you can't see it, if you can't make reads, then like you're not,
I feel like
you can't be a quarterback.
You can teach the physical stuff like arm strength, accuracy.
I don't know if you can teach those 2 things.
Yeah, you absolutely
You
can.
can teach accuracy.
You can fixing
Josh
cleaning
Allen.
mechanics.
Yeah.
Of course you
Yeah.
can. You can
Well,
coach
his
that.
footwork fucking
but it's
stinks.
so much harder to get in the head of an athlete. Like I'll use a baseball analogy. I think it's way harder to teach a guy to be less aggressive at the plate and try to get him to develop into a hitter that takes walks instead of the other way around. It's easier to teach a guy to go, to swing more than to swing less. Same thing with the quarterback. It's, he just doesn't see it. He doesn't see the field at all. His field vision is just, it has not gotten better at all. And it may have even regressed this year.
And it's like, that is the other frustrating thing. It'd be one thing if they had like that 2018 Bears defense or one of the Lovey defenses that were so sick where it's like, hey man, like just don't take risks, protect the ball. Like it'll be okay. And just keep us in the game and try to make a few big plays. This defense isn't,
It's horrible.
So fucking sling it. If you throw a pick, like who cares? Like just go out, it's not like this was supposed to be a team led by the offense. Like they were supposed to be the team that put up 30 points and didn't lose 31-34. It was like we're going to win that game 31-28 this year, and we just haven't. We haven't seen it.
I don't know. I keep going back to you're right, but we did put some good money into that defense,
They did.
and they did invest draft capital into it as well. So that's like I'm getting more. That's one of those things where
Where's the money?
They spent on
Johnny-
Tremaine Edwards. They spent on
Edwards.
Edmonds and Edwards and the linebacking core.
Walker from Tennessee.
Yep. Billings.
Andrew Billings, who's actually played some decent
and
football, I think, so far.
Ngakoue.
yeah.
If Johnny Ngakoue is like your top edge rusher, like you're not really investing in your defense. Like they obviously let Roquan Smith go with the trade with the Ravens, who's top linebacker in the league. But I wouldn't say they invested.
It was like a half invest. It was like like a quick fix. They plugged it with duct tape.
It is. I see it. Tremaine Edwards is a good, or Edmonds is a
besides
good play.
linebacker.
Yeah.
Besides linebacker.
But it was right. The rest of it is still like you could say like, hey, like this is part of like the longer term project. So we saw value at linebacker. You spent money there, and they got both of those guys for like half of what Roquan got. So and then Ngakoue totally right. Like there's a reason he was available 2 weeks into camp, but that was a need, and they went out and got it. He's had a few he had a sack that Baker escaped yesterday too. That's the second week in a row that happened. But it's just you could make an argument. It's like, hey, we're going to make the defense a little bit better where we see value, and then we have those 2 first-round picks next year. We'll still have more cap space next year. We'll see what we can do to get a bona fide edge rusher and a Eddie Jackson replacement who fucking blows now too, and go from there. But they did that's what I mean. Like everything was supposed to just be like incrementally better. So make it, is there 4 more wins, 8 more wins on the table than there was last year, or 6 more wins, whatever, because you would be like, we had all these 1-score games with a team that was intentionally terrible. Now we're trying, like we're not stripping it down. We're building. This is part of the project. There was a hope that this would be better, and it's just not.
And also Tyreek Stevenson, I like him. I think he's done a lot of things well, but he's just not there yet where he could cover Mike Evans or Chris Godwin. It's just a fact.
Yeah,
sure.
He was cooked for
around.
a lot of that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
3rd and 14, you can't be giving up touchdowns.
Nope, you can't.
Yeah.
Steven, thank you for jumping in.
Sure.
He made me feel a bit better.
Simplify
He did.
it. We're 2 weeks in. Simplify it. Pare it down. They did it last year.
Yep.
Do the same thing.
I wonder if they're
you have
willing
DJ
to do
Moore,
that.
but like it can still be a simplified offense and it can still work.
And that's kind of where I was coming from at the top of the show.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know. Are we really, like, can we step back for a second? I know we're all angry, but.
That's what I am angry.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
you
angry.
should be, and I am too.
Yeah. I feel like, and I hate feeling like I got swindled, and that's how I feel. I feel like I got, I bought it.
They figured it out at the end of last year. They can certainly do it again, and I'm saying offensively and how to use Fields. It's just, why didn't you just continue that? Why did you restart?
Sure.
Why did you restart the clock and just go back in time?
Yep.
I don't know. And if you didn't do that, you brought the trouble on yourself. Like, you walked into this fight.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steven.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen Cheah.
Yeah. On that note, I mean, I think we could kind of wrap things up here.
I did have some Miller Lights yesterday that were delicious.
Yeah, we did a Miller Lite.
I had about a dozen of them.
Yeah,
responsibly.
He was getting after it. Yeah. That's good. He was responsible. He
And-
took an Uber there.
Yep.
So that was
you
nice.
were also like a very good like Miller Light point guard yesterday.
Oh, yeah. I was the point guard of the
Yeah.
bucket. We
Like,
were getting
hey.
buckets of Miller Lite.
Yeah,
That was
like,
fun.
hey, you want one? It's like, I don't know, it's out of reach, so I wasn't gonna get up and grab one. Then you were a facilitator. That's
a good point.
If Fields could facilitate the football the way that you facilitated Miller Light,
Super Bowl.
you saw the table, you saw the field,
Yep.
you saw which guys had open empty beers,
Head on a
and
swivel
and
constantly.
you just
Peripherals.
yeah, it was
I
great.
was feeling pressure.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
I would be talking to you, and I would see Ed in my blind
Yep.
side, finishing up his last sip of beer, and
And
I
you
would
just-
just
Pitch one
Yeah.
back to
yeah,
me.
it was very Dave. It was great.
Yeah,
you did a great job.
Awesome day. First time I've ever seen that bar during the day. It was
Yeah.
kind of weird. I felt lost,
Yeah.
but I love that bar nonetheless.
Yeah.
Shout out to Miller Lite for making that happen.
Yeah, thanks to Miller for having us at Bourbon Street. Thank you to Bourbon Street as well, obviously. I mean, that's just like a legendary bar.
It is.
It is.
You know, it is sweet. So thanks again
That
to
might
them.
be the last time I go there in a hot minute because Wishfest isn't there anymore.
Yeah. Well, we got to get out there more, Dave.
Yep.
So make sure you make it Miller time all season long. You can get Miller Lite delivered right to your door when you visit MillerLite.com/Redline or pick it up anywhere that they sell beer, and you'll be good to go. Just make sure you celebrate responsibly like Dave did yesterday. Miller Brewing Company in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. I don't know what the future is with this post-game show. Obviously, we're going to ride it out as long as things are still relevant and people want to hear it.
So far,
So-
believe it or not, I've enjoyed doing it. It's been like cathartic in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree
Yeah,
with
we're
you.
like talking to a
You just
therapist.
that's the thing. That's a weird thing with these shows. Like, you never want to get to the point where like nobody gives a fuck anymore, and we certainly got
We've been there
Yeah,
before.
yes. Been there a lot with this show.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna keep the pulse on it and see where it goes. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Go Bears.
Bear down.